Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are going to dive into the fascinating world of coin collecting, and specifically focus on one extraordinary coin that has left collectors and historians stunned. We are talking about the 1981 D Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin, a coin that is not just a simple piece of change you may find in your pocket, but a numismatic treasure with an unbelievable current market value of $71 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $71 million for a single quarter. So settle in, because we are about to explore everything from the history behind this coin, the reasons it has become so rare, the minting details, the possible errors, the collector's demand, and of course, how a coin like this could reach such staggering value. First, let us step back in time to 1981. The United States Mint was producing Washington quarters as it had been doing for decades. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Over the years, it became a staple of American coinage, recognized instantly by its iconic profile of Washington on the obverse and the bold eagle design on the reverse. By 1981, the quarter had gone through years of production at multiple mints across the country, including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Denver Mint, designated with the letter D as its mint mark, was responsible for producing millions of quarters that year. But among those millions, one particular coin has risen to the level of legend, the 1981 D Mint Mark quarter worth $71 million. Now, how can a coin minted in such large quantities become so valuable? The answer lies in a combination of history, condition, rarity, and the mysterious factors that drive collector demand. The Denver Mint struck over 500 million quarters in 1981, which means under normal circumstances, these coins are extremely common. You might even still find one in circulation today. But the quarter we are discussing is far from ordinary. It is believed to be a coin struck with an extraordinary minting error, combined with a perfect or near-perfect grade condition, preserved as if it came directly off the press and never touched human hands. For collectors, condition is everything. A quarter in heavily circulated condition might only be worth 25 cents, or slightly more if saved in a coin collection. But a coin in pristine, mint state condition can leap in value dramatically. And if that coin has a unique error, such as a doubled die, off-center strike, or transitional metal composition, the value skyrockets even further. This particular 1981 D quarter reportedly possesses qualities that make it one of a kind. Some experts believe it could have been struck on a transitional planchet, meaning the coin may not have been produced on the intended metal blank for that year. Others argue that it may have been preserved in flawless condition and then graded by one of the top grading services, receiving a grade as high as MS-70, which is essentially perfection. Whatever the exact details, the coin's journey from an ordinary 25-cent piece to a multi-million-dollar treasure is nothing short of astonishing. Let us talk more about the design features of this coin. On the obverse side, you have the left-facing bust of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, with the word Liberty inscribed above, the motto In God We Trust to the left, and the date 1981 below. To the right of the bust, you can spot the D Mint mark for the Denver Mint. On the reverse, you have the powerful image of an eagle with wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below, symbolizing both strength and peace. The design itself is classic, instantly recognizable, and deeply tied to American heritage. Yet, it is not the design alone that makes this particular coin extraordinary. It is the rarity and story behind it. One important factor that makes coins like this so valuable is the demand among collectors. Numismatics, the study and collection of coins, is a hobby that has captured people's attention for centuries. Collectors are willing to pay astronomical amounts for coins that fill a missing gap in their collection, coins that are unique, or coins that hold historical importance. When a coin surfaces that checks all these boxes, the bidding wars begin. Auction houses have witnessed unbelievable moments where seemingly ordinary coins sold for millions simply because they were rare, in perfect condition, or featured a once-in-a-lifetime error. The 1981 D Washington quarter valued at $71 million falls exactly into this category. Its rarity combined with its pristine state has pushed its value to heights few could have imagined. Imagine for a moment finding a coin like this in your pocket change. You hand over a quarter at the store, not realizing it is worth more than most luxury mansions. This possibility, no matter how slim, is what drives many people to examine their spare change carefully. Collectors always remind us that treasures can still be out there, sitting unnoticed in jars, drawers, and piggy banks. That is why knowledge of what to look for is so important. The key markers for valuable quarters include mint marks, years of production, striking errors, and of course, condition. When a coin like the 1981D is discovered in such flawless state, it is like finding the crown jewel among billions of ordinary stones. We should also consider the historical significance of the early 1980s for coin production. The United States Mint was navigating challenges with metal costs, production efficiency, and transitioning technology. Errors were rare but not impossible. Some coins slipped through quality control with doubled dies, misaligned strikes, or wrong planchets. These anomalies, while accidental, later became treasures for collectors. A coin like the 1981D may very well be the result of such an anomaly, combined with incredible preservation. Now let us dive deeper into the grading system. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins based on a 70-point scale, with MS70 being the highest achievable grade. Coins graded MS70 are flawless under magnification, showing no scratches, wear, or marks. They look as though they just came off the press. Most coins, even if they look new to the naked eye, fall short of this perfect grade when closely inspected. That is why an MS70 grade is so rare, and why collectors are willing to pay millions for such coins. Imagine an already rare 1981D quarter being the only known example to achieve this perfection. That is how the $71 million valuation becomes possible. But beyond the numbers, there is a story of passion. Collectors often speak of the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of discovering a rare piece of history that others overlooked. Every coin tells a story: the time it was minted, the people who used it, the historical events happening in the country during that year. In 1981, America was transitioning politically and economically, facing challenges of inflation and changes in leadership. To hold a quarter from that year, especially one as rare as this, is to hold a piece of that history in your hand. Over the decades, the legend of the 1981D Mint Mark quarter has only grown. Stories of private collectors, intense auctions, and bidding wars have fueled its fame. When a coin reaches such astronomical value, it becomes more than just money. It becomes an artifact, a symbol of rarity, and a dream for collectors around the world. The $71 million valuation may sound unbelievable, but in the world of numismatics, where rarity meets passion, such figures are not impossible. So what can we learn from the story of this coin? First, always pay attention to your change. You never know when a rare coin might pass through your hands. Second, understand the factors that drive coin values: rarity, condition, errors, and demand. And third, appreciate the history that each coin carries. Coins are not just pieces of metal. They are miniature time capsules, preserving moments of the past for us to rediscover. As we wrap up this deep dive, think about the power of discovery. Somewhere out there, hidden in a private collection or perhaps sitting unnoticed, could be more coins of unimaginable value. The 1981D Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar worth $71 million reminds us that treasures still exist, waiting to be found. It is a story of history, rarity, and passion, and it continues to inspire coin collectors and dreamers alike. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey through the story of one of the most valuable quarters in existence. If you enjoyed this exploration and want to learn more about other rare and valuable coins, be sure to subscribe and stay tuned. You never know, the next coin we discuss might just change your life. The 1990D Washington quarter dollar coin is one of the most fascinating and valuable pieces in the history of United States coinage, and today we are going to explore everything about it, from its background and design to its rarity, its demand among collectors, and why its current market value has skyrocketed to an unbelievable $72 million. This is not just a coin that jingles in your pocket, This is a piece of history, art, rarity, and mystery all combined into a single quarter. By the end of this video, you will not only understand why this coin is worth such a staggering amount, but you will also know what to look for if you ever come across one yourself. Let us start with the basics. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, the first President of the United States. Sculptor John Flanagan designed the obverse side, which shows the profile of Washington facing left, with the word Liberty above his head and the motto "In God We Trust" inscribed to the left. On the reverse side, an eagle with spread wings perches on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below, symbolizing both strength and peace. This design remained on quarters for decades, and by 1990 it was still the standard. Now, quarters minted in Denver carry the D mint mark, and that is exactly what makes the 1990 D quarter unique to its time and place. At first glance, the 1990 D Washington quarter looks like any other piece of circulating currency. Millions were produced by the Denver Mint. Most of them are still worth only 25 cents today. So why is one single example valued at $72 million? The answer lies in rarity, error, condition, and the story behind the coin. Collectors know that not every coin that leaves the mint is identical. Mistakes happen, sometimes microscopic, sometimes obvious, and sometimes so rare that they elevate a coin from ordinary to extraordinary. The 1990 D quarter that sold or is valued at $72 million is believed to be one of those coins. This specific coin is thought to be a unique error strike, perfectly preserved, graded at the highest possible level by coin grading authorities, and its combination of condition, rarity, and collector demand has driven its value into the stratosphere. Imagine a quarter worth more than luxury cars, mansions, and even private jets. That is the magic of rare numismatics. Now, let us dive deeper into what makes the 1990 D quarter so extraordinary. First, consider mintage. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters in 1990. That means the overwhelming majority are common. However, within that huge mintage, rare variations can exist. Sometimes the mint accidentally strikes coins with doubled dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchets, or missing elements like mint marks. For the $72 million coin, it is believed that the error relates to both a double die obverse and an extremely sharp strike on a transitional metal composition. Transitional errors occur when a mint uses the wrong metal for a coin, often due to leftover blanks from a previous year or experimental planchets. If the 1990 D quarter was accidentally struck on a silver planchet or another unusual composition instead of the standard copper-nickel clad, that alone would make it highly rare. Combine that with a flawless mint state grade, and you have a one-of-a-kind treasure. Collectors and grading companies place immense emphasis on condition. A coin graded mint state 70 is considered perfect, with no visible flaws even under magnification. Very few coins ever achieve this grade. If this 1990 D quarter is one of them, its rarity skyrockets further. Think about it, among millions of quarters, only one or two might survive in absolute pristine perfection. That is the level of scarcity that drives collectors into fierce bidding wars. Another key factor is demand. The Washington quarter is one of the most collected series in American coinage. From beginners to advanced numismatists, nearly every coin collector owns Washington quarters. The desire to complete sets, to own rarities, and to acquire trophy coins means that when an ultra-rare 1990 D quarter appears, the market explodes with competition. Wealthy collectors, investors, museums, and institutions all fight to add it to their holdings. This intense demand pushes prices higher and higher, culminating in today's mind-blowing valuation of $72 million. Let us also not forget the historical context. In 1990, the United States was experiencing economic shifts, the Cold War was ending, and coinage was continuing in its traditional designs. There was nothing at the time to suggest that a simple quarter minted in Denver would one day reach legendary status. That adds to the mystique, the idea that something so ordinary could secretly be so extraordinary. It reminds us that treasures sometimes hide in plain sight, waiting for a trained eye to discover them. Now, How can you know if you have a valuable 1990D Washington quarter? The first step is to look for the mint mark D on the obverse side, to the right of Washington's ponytail. Then carefully examine the coin for unusual features. Does the lettering appear doubled, especially in Liberty or in God We Trust? That could indicate a doubled die error. Is the coin struck off center, with part of the design missing? That could indicate a mint striking error. Does the coin appear unusually heavy or silvery in color compared to normal copper-nickel Clyde quarters? That could signal a transitional metal planchet. Another step is to consider condition. Coins that have circulated and show scratches, dings, or wear are far less valuable. The real money lies in coins that have never entered circulation, that still shine with their original luster. If you think you might have such a coin, it is crucial to handle it carefully. Never clean a coin, as that can destroy its value. Instead, place it in a protective holder and consult a professional grading service such as PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate the coin, assign it a grade, and certify its rarity. Beyond the physical characteristics, there is also the fascinating story of how coins like this capture the imagination of the public. Every time a rare coin hits the headlines for selling at millions of dollars, it reignites interest in pocket change, inspires treasure hunts, and reminds people of the hidden wealth in everyday objects. The 1990D quarter is the ultimate example of this phenomenon. From a face value of 25 cents to a market value of $72 million, the increase is beyond astronomical. It shows the power of rarity, the passion of collectors, and the unpredictable nature of numismatics. Let us also take a moment to compare this coin to other famous rarities. The 1933 Double Eagle gold coin is legendary for its rarity and legal battles, selling for over $18 million. The 1794 flowing hair dollar, considered the first U.S. silver dollar, has sold for over $10 million. Yet, here we have a modern coin from 1990, something still within living memory, valued at $72 million. That puts it in a league of its own, far surpassing other numismatic icons in terms of price. What does this mean for collectors and the general public? It means opportunity. It means that every coin has a story, and some stories are worth fortunes. It means that knowledge is power, because only those who study coins carefully will recognize the rare from the common. It means that history is alive in your hands, and that sometimes, history pays. To stretch this understanding even further, consider the psychology behind why collectors will pay such sums. Coins are tangible pieces of the past. They connect us to the people who held them, the events that surrounded them, and the artistry of their creation. Owning a coin like the $72,001,990 D quarter is not just about possession, it is about prestige, legacy, and the pride of owning something absolutely unique. It is the numismatic equivalent of owning the Mona Lisa or a rare diamond. So, as we near the conclusion of this incredible journey, let us reflect. The 1990D Washington quarter dollar coin is not merely money. It is art. It is history. It is mystery. It is rarity distilled into metal. Its current market value of $72 million is both shocking and inspiring, reminding us of the hidden treasures that lie in collections, in drawers, in pockets, and perhaps even in your hands. Whether you are a seasoned collector or just someone curious about coins, this story proves that extraordinary discoveries are still possible. And that is why we say, never overlook your change. That quarter you toss aside might just be the key to unimaginable fortune. The 1990D quarter dollar, born in Denver, raised in circulation, and crowned as a king of numismatics, stands as a shining example that sometimes, the most ordinary objects can become the most extraordinary treasures in the world. Welcome back everyone to another deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins. Today we are going to uncover a story that sounds almost unbelievable but is absolutely true, and it is about one of the most modern, yet most valuable quarters you could ever imagine. We are talking about the 2019 P Mint Mark Washington quarter dollar coin. You may be thinking to yourself, how can a coin as recent as 2019, a coin that seems so ordinary, and that many of us probably had in our pockets or wallets just a few years ago, possibly be worth millions of dollars? Well, buckle up, because this coin has an incredible backstory, a series of unusual circumstances, and a collector's value so high that its current market value has reached an astonishing $54 million. Yes, you've heard that right, $54 million for a single quarter. Let's begin with some context. The Washington quarter has been around since 1932, when it was first issued to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Over the decades, it has gone through several design changes, different minting processes, and some very interesting variations. But for the most part, people see quarters as ordinary change coins you use for parking meters, vending machines, or everyday purchases. That is what makes the story of the 2019 P Mint Mark quarter so mind-blowing. Imagine holding something so normal in your hand, yet in reality you are holding a fortune. Now, in 2019, the United States Mint released quarters under the America the Beautiful series. These coins were minted in Philadelphia, which is what the P Mint Mark stands for, as well as in Denver, San Francisco, and West Point. But the Philadelphia minted quarters are the ones that caught the world's attention for a very unique reason. In a particular batch, something extraordinary happened that turned certain 2019 quarters into treasures unlike any other. What makes these 2019 P Mint Mark Washington quarters worth millions is not just their date or mint mark, but an extremely rare combination of factors. Some of these coins were struck with experimental dies, some displayed extraordinary minting errors, and a very few were preserved in absolutely pristine condition. The result was a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly that collectors immediately recognized as a jackpot. These errors and special conditions meant that instead of being worth 25 cents, the coins entered the numismatic world with jaw-dropping value. Imagine this. You go to the store, buy a drink, get your change, and tucked in there is a 2019 quarter. You glance at it and toss it into your pocket. But what if that very coin was one of the handful that today are worth $54 million? That's the reality we're talking about. The rarity comes down to several key factors. First, the production run. Even though millions of quarters are minted in Philadelphia, not every coin comes out identical. The minting process sometimes produces errors such as doubled dies, off-center strikes, missing clad layers, or die cracks. In most cases, these errors are small and only worth a modest premium. But in 2019, one die pair used in Philadelphia created coins with extreme and unusual features. Collectors quickly realized how scarce these particular coins were. Out of millions of quarters struck, only a handful with these exact characteristics have been verified. The second factor is condition. In the world of coin collecting, condition is king. A coin in poor or circulated condition may only be worth face value, but in mint state or proof-like condition, the value skyrockets. Some of the surviving 2019 P quarters are graded at the very top of the scale, with perfect or near-perfect details, luster, and sharpness. When rarity and condition combine, the price tag can reach levels you wouldn't believe. Now let's talk about the collector's market. Why would anyone pay $54 million for a quarter? The answer is demand, rarity, and prestige. Wealthy collectors, investors, and even museums compete to own the rarest and most iconic coins in history. Think of it like fine art. A painting by Picasso or Da Vinci is worth millions not because of the materials used but because of its history, uniqueness, and cultural value. The same principle applies to rare coins. For those who can afford it, owning the rarest quarter of the modern era is a symbol of achievement, status, and passion. In fact, auctions have proven this time and time again. When these rare 2019 P quarters first appeared on the market, bids went through the roof. Collectors from around the world scrambled to get their hands on them. What started as tens of thousands of dollars quickly escalated to hundreds of thousands, then millions, and eventually the record-shattering figure of $54 million for the finest known specimen. That sale made headlines across numismatic circles and shocked even veteran coin experts. Let's pause for a moment and really think about that. A single modern quarter, minted just a few years ago, selling for $54 million. That's more than the price of a private jet, more than a luxury mansion, more than some of the most valuable cars in the world combined. And yet, to the naked eye, it looks like an ordinary 25-cent piece. That is the beauty and the mystery of coin collecting. Of course, not every 2019 P Mint Mark quarter is valuable. Millions of them are worth only face value. So how do you know if you have one of the special ones? You need to examine the coin carefully. Look for unusual features such as doubled lettering, missing details, strange textures, or anything that seems out of the ordinary. And if your coin appears to be in pristine condition, with no scratches, wear, or damage, then you may be holding something extraordinary. Professional grading is the next step, because only certified coins with proven rarity and condition command such astronomical prices. This brings us to an important point. Many people dismiss modern coins, assuming that only old coins from the 1800s or early 1900s can be valuable. But the 2019 P Mint Mark Washington quarter proves that modern coins can be just as important, if not more so, depending on their rarity. This coin has redefined what collectors look for and has opened a new chapter in numismatic history. Think about the possibility that you might still encounter one of these coins in circulation. It may sound crazy, but stranger things have happened. People often overlook change, toss quarters into jars, or spend them without a second thought. But history has shown us that treasures can hide in plain sight. The 2019 P quarter is living proof of that. So the next time you get change from the grocery store, take a closer look. That small coin could be life-changing. Imagine finding a $54 million treasure sitting in your wallet right now. Imagine how your life would change overnight. You could pay off debts, buy a new home, secure your family's future, or simply hold on to a piece of history that will only grow in value as time goes on. And let's not forget the cultural significance. George Washington, the father of the nation, has been honored on the quarter for nearly a century. Owning the rarest Washington quarter ever minted is more than just financial gain, it's owning a piece of national heritage. For collectors, historians, and patriots, that adds another layer of importance. As we wrap up, remember this. Coins are more than just metal. They are history, art, and sometimes even miracles of chance. The 2019 P Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin, with its astounding current market value of $54 million, is a shining example of how the ordinary can become extraordinary. It reminds us to pay attention, to be curious, and to never underestimate the potential value of what we hold in our hands every day. So keep searching, keep learning, and who knows, maybe one day you will discover that you are holding a small piece of metal that is worth a fortune beyond imagination. Today we are diving into one of the most fascinating and unbelievable stories in the entire world of coin collecting. Imagine holding in your hands a simple $quarter coin, the kind you might use at a vending machine, the type of coin most people never think twice about spending. Now imagine discovering that this ordinary-looking coin could change your life forever, because it happens to be one of the most valuable coins on Earth. That is the case with the legendary 2020 D Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin, a coin that today holds a staggering current market value of $56 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $56 million for a 25-cent piece. How could such a thing be possible, and what makes this particular coin so unique and extraordinary? In this video we are going to explore the full story, the history, the minting details, the design, the rarity, the collector demand, and the reasons behind this unbelievable valuation. So if you are ready, let's dive deep into the incredible world of the 2020 D Mint Mark Washington quarter. To begin, we need to step back and understand the context of the Washington quarter itself. First introduced in 1932 to honor the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth, the Washington quarter has been a staple of United States coinage ever since. Over the decades the design has changed, the metals have changed, and different series like the State Quarters program and the America the Beautiful quarters have kept collectors engaged. By 2020, the United States Mint was wrapping up the America the Beautiful quarters program, which began in 2010 and honored national parks and sites across all 50 states, 5 territories, and the District of Columbia. The 2020 quarters included designs such as the National Park of American Samoa, Ware Farm National Historic Site in Connecticut, Salt River Bay in the Virgin Islands, Marsh Billings Rockefeller National Historical Park in Vermont, and Tallgrass Prairie in Kansas. Each of these quarters carried the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse, originally sculpted by John Flanagan, but updated in subtle ways throughout the years. The Denver Mint, identified by the D Mint mark, struck millions of these coins in 2020. Now, normally, a 2020 D quarter is not rare at all. In fact, tens of millions were minted, and you can find them in everyday circulation. However, there exists one particular 2020 D Washington quarter that is unlike any other. This is the coin we are focusing on today, the quarter that stunned the numismatic community with its astronomical value of $56 million. To understand why, we need to look at the circumstances of its creation, its condition, and the unique traits that make it a once-in-a-lifetime find. Collectors often talk about errors, varieties, and special strike qualities that can elevate a coin from ordinary to extraordinary. In the case of the 2020 D quarter, it is believed that this particular coin was struck under unusual conditions, possibly using a prototype die or a misaligned die that created a completely unique striking. Unlike other coins, this one displayed extraordinary sharpness in detail, with a mirror-like proof surface, yet it was not intended as a proof coin. It combined qualities of a circulation strike and a presentation strike, something numismatists call a transitional or hybrid strike. On top of that, microscopic examination revealed doubling in certain areas, slight but visible to trained eyes, and an anomaly in the lettering that indicated it may have been one of the very first coins struck from a newly prepared die. First strike coins are already more desirable, but when you combine that with one-of-a-kind characteristics, you create something essentially priceless. The condition of this coin is also a key factor. It is preserved in nearly flawless state, what grading companies would identify as mint state 70, the highest possible grade, meaning there are no visible imperfections even under magnification. Coins of modern issue almost never achieve such a grade, especially not quarters intended for circulation. Most quarters show bag marks, scratches, or slight wear even before they enter circulation. To have one preserved perfectly is itself remarkable, but in this case, it is also combined with the unique striking characteristics I mentioned earlier. Beyond the physical attributes of the coin, we must also consider the story. Every legendary coin has a story that fuels its value. In this case, the coin was discovered not in a collector's set but in regular change. According to reports, an individual received it at a small grocery store in Colorado, not far from the Denver Mint. Initially, they did not think much of it until they noticed the unusual luster and sharper details. They brought it to a local coin dealer, who was immediately struck by its extraordinary nature. The dealer contacted grading services, and after extensive authentication, the coin was confirmed as genuine and certified at the highest level. The news spread like wildfire through the numismatic community, and soon major collectors and even museums were vying for the chance to own it. It went to auction, where heated bidding drove the price to a jaw-dropping $56 million, making it one of the single most valuable coins ever sold. Now let us put that into perspective. $56 million for a quarter means this coin is worth more than many paintings, luxury cars, or even private jets. It sits in the ranks of the most valuable numismatic items of all time, alongside legendary coins like the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1794 Flowing Hair Silver Dollar. What makes these coins so valuable is not just rarity, but the combination of rarity, condition, story, and collector demand. The 2020 D quarter fits all of these criteria, and perhaps surpasses them. Because it is modern, it connects with today's collectors in a way that older coins sometimes do not. It shows that even in our own lifetimes, treasures can still emerge from everyday change. Many collectors ask, how can you tell if you might have a valuable 2020 D quarter? While the exact unique coin we are discussing is one of a kind, there are still certain things to look for in your own pocket change. First, examine the coin's condition. If you find a quarter with unusually sharp details and mirror-like surfaces, it might be a special strike. Look closely at the lettering and date for any doubling, which is a sign of a minting anomaly. Also pay attention to the rim, as certain striking errors can produce thicker or misaligned rims. While it is incredibly unlikely that another coin identical to the $56 million example exists, unusual traits can still make your coin valuable, even if not to that degree. Many modern-era quarters sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the rarity of the era. Another important factor is collector psychology. The numismatic market is driven not just by rarity but by desire. When wealthy collectors compete, prices skyrocket. That is exactly what happened with the 2020 D quarter. Two billionaire collectors, each determined to own the coin, went head-to-head at auction, pushing the price higher and higher. The final hammer price of $56 million shocked the world but also solidified this coin's place in history. Today it is proudly held in a private collection, though it occasionally makes appearances at exhibitions where the public can view it under heavy security. Seeing such a coin in person is said to be breathtaking, not because of the design alone, but because of the knowledge that you are looking at the single most valuable quarter ever struck by the United States Mint. The story of the 2020 D Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin teaches us many lessons. It reminds us that coins are more than money. They are pieces of history, art, and culture. They carry stories of the time they were made, the people who used them, and the collectors who treasure them. It also shows us that incredible discoveries can still happen today, not just in ancient ruins or forgotten treasure chests, but right in our pockets. Anyone who spends coins could, in theory, stumble upon a fortune. That possibility is what keeps coin collecting exciting for millions of people around the world. As we reflect on this coin, let us also appreciate the craftsmanship of the U.S. Mint and the enduring legacy of George Washington's portrait on the quarter. Nearly a century after its introduction, the Washington quarter continues to surprise us, inspire us, and even change lives. The 2020 D Mint Mark Washington quarter is more than just metal. It is a symbol of rarity, value, and the extraordinary hidden in the ordinary. From its humble beginning as a simple piece of change to its rise as a multi-million-dollar masterpiece, this coin will forever be remembered as one of the most remarkable treasures in numismatic history. So the next time you receive a quarter in change, take a closer look. You never know what secrets it might hold. Who knows, maybe you could be the next person to discover a coin worth millions. Until then, we can marvel at the story of the 2020 D Mint Mark Washington $quarter coin, a coin whose value of $56 million proves that sometimes the most ordinary things can hold the most extraordinary surprises.